Hey guys, today I'm taking you on a walking tour of one of my favorite neighborhoods here in Castro Valley, and that is the neighborhood of Five Canyons. And along the walk, I'll tell you the pros and cons of why I like it. And after this video, you should be able to know what it's like living in Five Canyons. You know, the different neighborhoods, the amenities that they have, and just something that I think is really important if you're thinking about moving to one of the more popular neighborhoods here in Castro Valley. Okay, let's go. So one of the first pros that I like about Five Canyons is the fact that it's got several access points or several entry points. So the first one is the main one right off of Castro Valley Boulevard. East Castro Valley Boulevard to be exact. So this is the main entrance for Five Canyons. Five Canyons, right there. That's Five Canyons Parkway, East Castro Valley Boulevard, and that's Jensen Road over there. So I'll give you one of the first cons that I don't like about Five Canyons, and that is it's very up and down. So like when you enter from East Castro Valley Boulevard, it goes down and then it goes up. And then it goes further up. And why that is important to me is because I ride my bike a lot, so it kind of gets tiring when you're coming home and you've had a long ride. It's a little bit tough, but that's just a personal preference for me. So anyway, let's go. So when you enter Five Canyons, to the left, I don't know if it shows on the video, right there. That's Dublin Canyon Road. It's a dead end. There are homes over there. I mean, I guess you can call yourself in the Five Canyons neighborhoods if you live there, but it's definitely not part of the Five Canyons community HOA. So right there, I don't know if you can see it. There. Up above is Highway 580 or Freeway 580. And then this little area right here at the bottom, I don't know if you can see it. And over there also are the houses. And I'll show you when I'm coming back. That's the side that I'll walk. So this is Old Dublin Road, one of the first side streets when you're coming down from East Castro Valley Boulevard and on to Five Canyons Parkway. Okay, so as you head up Five Canyons Parkway, the first traffic light you're gonna hit, if you're going up, you're gonna hit Gold Creek on the left and Wildwood on the right, and that's the neighborhood that I'm gonna show you right now. So we are at Boulder Canyon Drive, and in this particular section, this is where you will find some neighborhoods or some little communities that are in the Five Canyons neighborhood, but is not part of the Five Canyons HOA. This street over here where they have the Montessori school, fun fact, when they were building the houses over here, I kind of looked at it, but I knew it's gonna be crowded eventually when everything was built out, because the streets are very narrow. So it's Canyon Court, and over there are the townhouses. So let me show you real quick over here. I don't know if you can hear the kids, but this is basically a small development right off of Five Canyons, but again, not part of the Five Canyons HOA. So this is a very short street over here, Canyon Court. So these are the houses over here, like that. See? So pretty nice, but the streets are very narrow. You can only park on one side. And then imagine in the morning when people are dropping off their kids. that Montessori. It gets more crowded. Again, this was a neighborhood that I considered at one point when they were just building these houses. Now, right across from Canyon Court is Canyon Terrace, and these are the townhomes and condos over here in Five Canyons. Not gonna go all the way in, just because it's pretty much what you see is what you get, but this thing is deep. It goes all the way there. So these are the type of houses or townhouses that you see over here. So I was just there, Canyon Court, and this is Canyon Terrace. We are going into Rancho Palomares. We're at the corner of Boulder Canyon and Rancho Palomares. And this particular neighborhood is not part of the HOA of Five Canyons. So I had a client that used to live here. We were actually contemplating on buying his house at that time when he was leaving to move to Folsom. Again, this part is not, you don't get the HOA amenities for Five Canyons. You don't have the pool, you don't have the tennis courts, the clubhouse. What else? Yeah, I think that's about it. Oh, basketball court. They do have a basketball court. So whether it's good or bad, this one doesn't have HOA, so there's not a lot of restrictions on what you can park on the street. And I've seen RVs parked on the street and people working on their cars on the street, which is a big no-no if you live in the Five Canyons neighborhood. Actually, right now, as I walk around this neighborhood, I'm actually surprised that the street is clear of how should I say this? Kind of junky looking cars. Years ago, I remember that there were a lot of houses over here, and I'm not going to point it out which houses had it, but there were a lot of houses that had either an RV or a boat parked right in front of their either their driveway or on the street. And again, it's because there's no HOA, so it's allowed. So the good and bad of that is that the fact that you can do anything, and also the fact that if you're one of the owners that don't have a boat or an RV, it's annoying to see, because I mean, frankly speaking, I think it's an eyesore when you have something like that. Which kind of brings me to one of the good things, or one of the amenities for Five Canyons HOA, is that they have a storage facility for your boat or your RV. So before I forget, one of the best features of this neighborhood, this entire community, is the fact that there's a lot of trails over here at the Five Canyons area, and the trails are they vary vastly. You can have trails that are underneath a canopy of trees. It's like you're in the forest, or you can have trails that are up in the ridge, and you can see a lot of canyon views. And one of them is I'm right on one of them. So this is all Five Canyons community, not the Five Canyons neighborhood HOA. So if you're like me, I like mountain biking, I like hiking or walking, you know, that offers a lot. And again, they're very different, and it's really nice because I've gone with my clients on there. So that's your little park right there. This is kind of a sad looking park. You got a beach volleyball over there with nets that are falling apart. And then you have a basketball court that the whole thing is cracking. But hey, it's better than nothing, right? Okay, right now I'm not really featuring any trails, but I just wanted to show you this is one of the trails over here in the Five Canyons neighborhood. As you can see, this one is gonna go down to the canyon and you're all covered by trees, as opposed to the ones over on top of the ridge. I'm gonna do a video on that also, because I haven't ridden these trails in a while, so now that I have an e-bike, it's a little bit easier. So that's Lakewood. I was gonna talk about that before I got a call from one of my clients. So Lakewood over here, that is not part of the Five Canyons HOA over there. So I'll do a drive-by on that one. Let's go over to Gold Creek, which is part of the Five Canyons HOA. So this is Gold Creek and Century Oaks off of Boulder Canyon Drive. This is part of the HOA. So that means you get access to the amenities. So the houses here are fairly spacious. A lot of the ones that I like are all the way at the top, which backs into the canyon. Because when the house backs into a canyon, obviously there's no neighbors, so that's really nice. So as I was saying, one of the features that I don't like in this neighborhood are those houses with the stairs. I don't know, it just doesn't appeal to me. I mean, I like the little kind of balcony or front porch area, but having the stairs up front, I don't know, it's just me. Don't listen to me if you like it. Again, it's a preference thing. So these houses right here, some of them actually back into the canyon. And there are more houses at the top where they back into a canyon. Again, it's nice because you don't have any neighbors. So I don't know if you can tell by the video, when we were at Rancho Palomares, the streets weren't bad, but this one is definitely much cleaner, more put together, if you will. So I'm at Century Oaks right now, and the houses here are, you're gonna see later when I take you over to golly, I can't remember right now. Jeez, Whispering Oaks. So some of the houses on Whispering Oaks looks like this also. Okay, next up, I think this is the crown jewel of Five Canyons when you are a member of the when you're part of the HOA, and that is the rec center. So let me give you a tour. They have a pool, clubhouse, tennis court. So that's where the pool is. I'll take you around. Oh, one thing before I forget. On this street where the rec center is, those houses over there, those are again in Five Canyons, but not part of the Five Canyons HOA, and those are nice. Those are custom homes. So let's go around. So a nice playground over here with picnic tables. So I think originally this is one of the things that attracted me to Five Canyons. The what do you call this? The amenities. They have tennis courts and basketball courts over there that I'll take you, but the pool is over there, and I just feel like this feels like a resort when you're over here, a small resort, you know. I mean, it's not like. So there are people in the pool, so let's give them privacy, but that's the pool area. Check it out. So this is still part of Five Canyons. The basketball court over there. The tennis courts are also over there. That's become a pickleball court. Tennis courts, basketball courts, the rec center pool over there, and another tennis court. So the rec center right there. Look at those views. Okay, so when we were looking into moving into Castro Valley, you know, one of my friends moved over here to Five Canyons, and frankly speaking, this is I got so interested in it, and I wanted to move into here. Now, at that time, the only neighborhood that we could afford was the neighborhood of Abbeywood. My wife didn't like that neighborhood. I'm sorry if I'm not centered because I'm walking. So that's the next neighborhood that I'm gonna show you, Abbeywood, and I'll show you why I think we made the right choice. Well, at least for us, okay? I'm not disparaging Abbeywood by any means, okay? It's nice, but I think I'm gonna go crazy if we ended up over there. I'll show you right now. Actually, before I show you, that's a bird's eye view of the rec center. And amazing canyon views. Whew. Okay, since I was walking from the rec center, I'm hitting the side streets to Abbeywood. So this is Abbeywood, okay? So when this was brand new, this is where I wanted to move in because this was the only neighborhood that was in our price range. Now, the one thing I mentioned that it's probably gonna drive me crazy is the fact that, I don't know if you notice or if the video shows it well, but all the cars parked. So you can only park on one side because it's a narrow street. And what ends up happening in the early evening, well, guess what? All those are fully filled. So I'm kind of glad we didn't move here because I've got a big issue with cars parked on the street. It's a personal issue. Okay, now don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Abbey Wood is bad. In fact, some of the houses here that are smaller than the houses over in where I live in Colombia, they appreciated much faster. So this area. So if you don't mind the narrow streets and parking, this is definitely a nice neighborhood for you. So those are the houses behind me. We walked all the way there. And again, cars, cars, cars. Conley Downs. Five Canyons Parkway. Going down to Whispering Oaks over there, which, if memory serves me right, is the biggest. Those are the biggest models when they first came out. So I don't know if I've already mentioned this in the video, but Five Canyons is very hilly. So lots of up and down, up and down. You can barely find flatland around here. Okay, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but you know, it's hilly, okay? Period. You got Whispering Oaks. And Abbey Wood is right across. Okay, I'm gonna take you around Whispering Oaks. We're just gonna go Crestfield Circle because that's the shortest route. Okay, so those houses over there used to be the model homes years ago. The houses over here on Whispering Oaks tend to be larger with larger lots. So if that's important to you, this is probably the sub neighborhood that you would wanna check out. So that's where I was just now, Whispering Oaks, and I entered through here, through Abbey Wood earlier, and we're gonna go back to the rec center. So if you live above the rec center, you can walk. There's this little trail that takes you down to the rec center. You don't have to drive. I'm just gonna be careful because it seems like it's slippery. Kind of a personal tidbit that I want to share with you is that, like I said, when we were first looking at moving into Castro Valley, Five Canyons was that was my aspirational neighborhood, to be honest with you. But my wife, for some reason, she didn't like it. I think she didn't like it because of the neighborhood that we were looking at, which was Abbey Wood. I think she felt like it was too small. It was kind of forcing ourselves just to be wanting to be in Five Canyons, which, by the way, I think that's one of the biggest pros of living here in Five Canyons if you wanted to live here, because you have several neighborhoods, from condos, townhomes, to places that are not part of the HOA. So if you wanted to live here, there's definitely a whole bunch of selection for you. But anyway, my point is that my wife, I think, she just didn't like the neighborhood. And like I said, I'm glad that we didn't, because parking to me is a big thing. I hate cars getting parked on the street. And that being said, I'm not saying that Abbey Wood is not, it's not good or it's bad or whatever. Abbey Wood is an amazing neighborhood. If that's one, if you live there, or if that's one of the neighborhoods that you want, that's an amazing neighborhood. So that's just my rant. So here we go. And look, You can continue on over there if you wanted to walk the trails, and you head back to Abbeywood. Okay, this next neighborhood that I'm going to show you is Creekside, which was it's almost at the top of Five Canyons. So it's a nice little enclave. So on this little neighborhood, they have a little bit of I wouldn't say amenities, but they have a tennis court, and that side is Whispering Oaks. You can walk, you can't drive, and it's Five Canyons Parkway over there, and this is Creekside. You know, I've never seen where the creek is, so I don't know why they call it Creekside. Okay, so we are now at the top of Five Canyons. So this is Five Canyons Park. I'm going to tell you about the Hard Hayward area recreation and park district. So this is the top. We were all the way down there. So let me tell you about so Castro Valley is unincorporated. So that's why all the public parks are run by Hayward. So it's the Hayward Area Recreation Parks Department, or HARD. So in this case, like this particular park, there's a baseball diamond, the slide thingy, and I think there's a basketball court on the other side. These are all not, it's not Five Canyons specific, meaning it's not for the residents only. It's more of, it's a public park basically. So this right here is Five Canyons. I don't really know where the Five Canyons are, but I would imagine there are Five Canyons, right? So those houses over there are brand new. Well, like in the last couple of years. Let me just show you the rest of the park before I tell you more about that. Actually, I'm gonna be walking over there, so I'm gonna walk and talk when we go there. Okay, let me tell you about this neighborhood over here. That's a small neighborhood right over there. There's the entrance over there. I'll cross the street later and show it to you. But anyway, the story on that is that I think in the mid 2000s they started this thing. They broke ground, and I believe they were pre-selling. You know, I can't remember anymore if it was if they were just pre-selling lots. But basically, what happened was the 2008 housing crash happened. So this thing was completely abandoned at that time. So it's only been in the last, I would say not even 5 years. I think probably two or 3 years that has been finished. So I'm not gonna go over there because I really don't have any clients over there. I checked it out before, but you know, anyways, it's nice. It's a nice little area. It's really private. You only have a handful of houses, so you're bound to know all of your neighbors, which is nice, right? So anyway, we're climbing all the way to the top of Five Canyons. I'm right here, and what I'm going to show you is the other entrance to Five Canyons. Okay, so we are at the top. So this is another entrance to Five Canyons from Hayward. To the right is D Street, and to the left you can go to Carlos B at CSU East Bay. So this is the roundabout. Again, Stonebrae, CSU East Bay is over there, and over here you can get down to D Street. So we're gonna head back down. Woo! Freaking big walk. So there you have it, folks. An in-depth tour of, some of it was a walking tour of Five Canyons. We went to Wildwood, Lakewood, Rancho Palomares, Abbeywood, Whispering Oaks, Gold Creek, I think Century Oaks, Creekside. So that kind of covers everything. So if you're interested in any of the neighborhoods over here in Five Canyons, or for that matter, anywhere in Castro Valley, you know what to do. I'm not an AI, so reach out to me and my team and we will gladly help you out. And I don't know, let me show you. So those are the houses that I was referring to earlier. That's the Summit Collection over there.